Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a film that didn't just break box office records. It created an entire world that captivated millions. That's right, we're talking about James Cameron's groundbreaking epic Avatar. It's been over a decade since its release, but its impact is still felt today, especially with the sequels expanding the universe. So, let's journey back to the moon of Pandora and explore what made this movie such a monumental piece of cinema. This is part 1 of our deep dive review. First things first, let's talk about the sheer visual spectacle. When Avatar came out in 2009, the world of 3D cinema was, let's be honest, a bit gimmicky. We had things flying at the screen, but few films use it to create true immersion. Avatar changed the game entirely. Cameron and his team at Weta Digital didn't just make a movie, they built a world. The level of detail in Pandora is breathtaking. From the floating Hallelujah Mountains to the bioluminescent forests that glow with every footstep, every single frame is a work of art. I remember sitting in the theater with my 3D glasses on, and for the first time it didn't feel like I was watching a movie. It felt like I was asterisk and asterisk the movie. The way the native Pandoran flora and fauna were designed was just incredible. You have the 6-legged dire horses, the ferocious Thanators, and of course, the majestic flying banshees, or Ikran as the Na'vi call them. Each creature felt like it belonged in this ecosystem. It wasn't just random monster design. It was thoughtful, biological world building. The plant life was just as imaginative, with things like the wood sprites, those pure spirits that looked like ethereal jellyfish floating through the air. The visual storytelling alone is a masterclass. Cameron waited years for the technology to catch up to his vision, and it was absolutely worth the wait. It set a new benchmark for what computer-generated imagery could achieve, blending it so seamlessly with live action that you forget you're watching a digital creation. Now let's move on to the story. At its core, Avatar is a story we've seen before, and this is a common point of criticism. It draws from classic narratives like Pocahontas or Dances with Wolves. A soldier from an invading force goes native, falls in love with a local, and ends up fighting for their cause against his own people. The protagonist, Jake Sully, is a paraplegic former Marine who is given a new chance at life. He gets to pilot an avatar, a genetically engineered hybrid of human and Na'vi DNA. His mission is to infiltrate the native Na'vi tribe, the Amatakaya, to convince them to move from their home, which happens to be sitting on a massive deposit of a priceless mineral called unobtainium. What makes this familiar story work so well is the execution and the emotional depth given to Jake's journey. We experience Pandora through his eyes. Initially, he's just a soldier following orders, a bit cynical and disconnected. But as he spends more time in his avatar body, learning the ways of the Na'vi under the guidance of Neytiri, his perspective begins to shift. He feels the freedom of running, jumping, and connecting with nature in a way his human body never allowed. He learns what it means to be one with the people, to respect the delicate balance of life that the Na'vi cherish. The character of Jake Sully is brilliantly relatable. He's not a born hero. He's an ordinary guy thrown into an extraordinary situation. His transformation from a jaded soldier to a passionate defender of Pandora is the emotional heart of the film. We see his internal conflict as he's torn between his duty to the RDA, the militaristic corporation mining Pandora, and his growing love for Neytiri and her people. Sam Worthington does a great job of conveying this struggle, both in his live-action performance and through the motion capture for his avatar. You can feel his wonder, his fear, and eventually, his resolve. And we can't talk about the characters without mentioning Neytiri, played by Zoe Saldana. She is the fierce, proud, and deeply spiritual heart of the Amatakaya clan. Her initial distrust of Jake is completely justified. To her, he's one of the sky people who destroy everything they touch. But as she's tasked with teaching him their ways, she begins to see the person inside the avatar. The chemistry between Jake and Neytiri is palpable. Their relationship isn't just a simple romance, it's a bridge between two worlds. Through her, Jake and the audience learn about the Na'vi's connection to Aiwa, the guiding force or deity of Pandora. This spiritual element adds a layer of profundity to the story that elevates it beyond a simple action movie. Then you have the villains. Colonel Miles Quaritch, played with menacing glee by Stephen Lang, is the perfect antagonist for this story. He's not a complex, morally gray character. He is the embodiment of military, industrial might and corporate greed. He sees Pandora not as a living world but as a hostile environment full of obstacles to be eliminated. His famous line, "We will fight terror with terror," perfectly encapsulates his worldview. He's a fantastic, straight-up villain you love to hate. On the other side of the corporate coin is Parker Selfridge, the administrator who is more concerned with the bottom line and shareholder value than the lives of an indigenous population. He represents the bureaucratic, soulless side of the invasion. But it's not all black and white. The film also gives us characters like Dr. Grace Augustine, played by the legendary Sigourney Weaver. She's the scientist who has dedicated her life to understanding the Na'vi and their culture. She acts as the moral compass for the human side, constantly clashing with Quaritch and Selfridge. She represents the path of understanding and diplomacy, a stark contrast to the RDA's brute force approach. Her character adds a necessary nuance, showing that not all humans on Pandora are there to exploit it. She, along with a few other scientists and pilots, ultimately choose to side with the Na'vi, highlighting the film's central theme of choosing what is right over what is easy. Let's also touch upon the themes because Avatar is rich with them. The most obvious is environmentalism. The film is a powerful allegory for humanity's relationship with our own planet. The RDA's destructive mining operation is a clear parallel to real-world deforestation, pollution, and the exploitation of natural resources. The Na'vi's symbiotic relationship with Pandora serves as an ideal, a vision of what it means to live in harmony with nature rather than in opposition to it. The concept of the home tree, this massive ancient tree that houses the entire Omaticaya clan, and its devastating destruction is one of the most powerful and emotionally gut-wrenching scenes in the film. It's a wake-up call, a visual representation of what we stand to lose. Another major theme is anti-imperialism and anti-colonialism. The story critiques the historical pattern of powerful nations invading foreign lands, displacing indigenous peoples, and exploiting their resources under the guise of progress or security. The language used by Quaritch and his soldiers, calling the Na'vi savages and hostiles, echoes the dehumanizing rhetoric used throughout history to justify conquest. Jake's journey is a subversion of this, as he comes to see the richness and wisdom in the culture he was sent to subdue. The film also explores the idea of identity and connection. Jake Sully feels more himself in his avatar body than in his human one. It raises questions about what defines us, our physical form or our spirit and our actions. The Na'vi concept of "I see you" isn't just a greeting. It's a profound statement of recognition and understanding. It means seeing into someone's soul. And the neural cue, the tendrils that allow the Na'vi to physically connect with the flora and fauna of Pandora, is a beautiful and literal representation of interconnectedness. It visualizes the idea that everything in an ecosystem is linked. That's a good place to pause for today. We've covered the groundbreaking visuals, the core story, the main characters, and the powerful themes that make Avatar so much more than just a sci-fi blockbuster. It's a film that pushed the boundaries of technology while telling a story with a powerful, emotional, and timeless message. Join me in part 2 where we'll get into the specifics of the action sequences, the incredible sound design and music by James Horner, the film's cultural impact and criticisms, and how it set the stage for the future of the franchise. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next video. See you then.